Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. 1995. It was a pretty big year for movies, and quite a handful of action-packed films, and, well, this being one of them, of course. Yeah. And yeah, that's right, because you read the title, and you know what it is that I'm reviewing. Not to mention, this film is celebrating its anniversary. That's right, guys. The third installment of the Die Hard franchise. 1995's Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yes. Die Hard with a Vengeance. Again, the third installment of the Die Hard franchise. Yep. Yeah, I gotta say, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and the fact that this is the first Die Hard film that has nothing Christmassy going on, not really, and, well, I mean, especially since it does not take place during Christmas time, but still has some bit of Christmassy references, like, mainly Santa Claus and such, but just, yeah, this isn't really a Christmassy film. The first two were, but yeah. And despite that, yeah, of course, this does make references to the first two Die Hard films, on account, of course, with the very first one. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad to have finally gotten around and watching Die Hard with a Vengeance. Been meaning to, and I finally did, and here I am now, doing my review of it. So the first things I have to say about Die Hard with a Vengeance, well, as you know, because I'm sure most of you do, and seeing as how I did review the first two Die Hard films, if you want to go check those out, well, of course, the first Die Hard film, how can you not enjoy it? It's a masterpiece, you know? The best one of the franchise, because it's the first one, yeah. With what happens in L.A., with John McClane himself, and with Hans Gruber, all of that action, the suspense, and this being a action-packed Christmassy film, yeah, everything about the first Die Hard was fantastic. The second Die Hard film, I did enjoy, and I did give that a 7 out of 10. Again, if you want to go check out my reviews of those. But yeah, with what Die Hard 2 had to offer, I thought, you know, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't a not bad first sequel for Die Hard. And as for Die Hard with a Vengeance, yeah, because I kind of feel as though that people cite this mainly as being one of the top best sequels to the Die Hard franchise. I mean, I'm just saying, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's what they've said. And it's not too bad, as I sometimes point out. A 60% score on Rotten Tomatoes, well, yeah, I mean, come on, is this really that bad? You know. Yeah, just with what Die Hard with a Vengeance has to offer, and the fact that this Die Hard film, it takes place entirely in New York City, and John McClane back in action once again. He was suspended from the NYPD, and now he's back in action because someone whom is in connections with Hans Gruber is present, and technically, you know, wants something to do with John McClane and so on. And you have a new face that steps into the franchise, which, you know, he, without a doubt, was a perfect installment to the Die Hard family. Good old Samuel L. Jackson, and yeah. Not to mention that it was Bruce Willis who suggested casting Jackson to be a part of the third Die Hard film. And yeah, I mean, Jackson, he was thrilled to be a part of this, and, you know, he even stated that he must have watched the first Die Hard film 30 times. So it's obvious that he was a big fan of the first Die Hard film. And also, seeing as how that both Willis and Jackson, they previously co-starred in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. They didn't share any let me take it back. They didn't share any scenes together. Yeah, but this is the first time in Die Hard with a Vengeance that both of them are on screen together quite a lot, and they do not disappoint, the chemistry that their characters have, but until I talk more about that. Yeah, and with the main villain himself, in connection with Gruber. I won't say his name yet, and so on, but you obviously know, I just want to build it up. But yeah, he was fantastic. How can you not enjoy someone like Irons, you know, whom he plays, the main antagonist of this movie? Not a monster, but a soldier, as he would establish when his antagonist character would cross paths with McClane. Yeah. All the other characters that we get in this Die Hard film, they were pretty good too. And, because we all know, of course, how the police, how they feel towards McClane. It's a very mutual relationship. And McClane, most of the time, doing the opposite stuff that the police would do. The kind of cop that McClane does, he is, and what he does. Well, let's face it. What McClane has always done would turn out to be pretty good in the end. You know. Yeah, the action, the suspense, and man, because the movie not wasting any time to get right to what's going on. Shit happening in New York, and just from there on. Yeah, but until I get to that in a moment, but just, yeah, the way the movie opens. The music, of course, fantastic, and some great moments here and there. The references to the last two Die Hard films, and unexpected moments, the intensity, the suspension, everything about Die Hard with a Vengeance, I really enjoyed. It was pretty good. Okay. All right, so, and by the way, because another fun fact to mention, because I was talking a little bit about background, the script was actually, I didn't quite realize this until now, that the script for Die Hard with a Vengeance was turned over to the FBI, and because of the whole thing of the villains, them dealing with the NYPD and going after the money and such, the security, and because of that, there had to be some changes made to the security thing. I'm pretty sure you know exactly what it is I'm talking about. That's pretty interesting. And, good thing too, because, yeah, what this movie did and how the bad guys managed to infiltrate a bank and so on, well, no doubt that anybody in reality would do something like that. So good thing they made an upgrade/update to the security systems and all of that. So, okay. Okay, again, overall, Die Hard with a Vengeance, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't think it was that bad. It was a pretty good, another sequel, and this being the second sequel to the Die Hard franchise. Okay, so, now with the first things I've had to say about Die Hard with a Vengeance now out of the way, now as always, for me, read the description / the story. Detective John McClane, yes, yeah, he's a detective, is now divorced, alcoholic, and jobless after getting fired for his reckless behavior and bad attitude. He is called back into action. However, when a cryptid terrorist takes New York City hostage, literally, the entirety of the Big Apple, in a lethal game of Simon Says, and refuses to speak with anyone but McClane, teaming up with a street-savvy electrician named Zeus Carver. Yeah, I think I said the last name right. McClane dashes through the city, trying to stay one step ahead of a murderous plot. Okay, now with reading the description / the story out of the way, let us now dive in / break down the film itself. Shall we? Okay. Well, like I said, because this movie, it wastes no time getting to what the crap is going on. Because, yeah, the opening to this movie, yeah. Well, a bomb detonates at the Bonwit Teller, department store, and just, already, because this movie starts off, no time to waste, it just gets right to the point, and with what is going on this time in this Die Hard movie, and thus we know, Detective McClane's going to be summoned, And a man claiming to be Simon, yes, that's his name, calls the police and demanding to speak with McClane. But, again, McClane having been fired, divorced, suspended, all of that. But they have no other choice. They have to bring in McClane according to the man claiming to be Simon. So thus, that's what they do. And, well, we, of course, get the return of Detective John McClane himself, good old Bruce Willis. So, the assignment, McClane, still being hungover, he is forced into a dangerous game of Simon Says by Simon, with further bombs threatening the city if McClane doesn't comply with his increasingly bizarre challenges. Yeah. So, one of the first things that McClane has to do is to be in his underwear and to wear a sign, 2 signs on this front and back, that whole thing. And basically, when we see what the sign says, oh my gosh, well, it's because of what Simon wanted McClane to do. The sign reads, "I hate black people," but with the N-word. Yeah, so there you go. Also, yeah, to name some of the other characters because we also have, as I mentioned, Bruce Willis. Also, because we have Joe Lambert, one of the members of the NYPD, being played by the late Graham Greene, yes. And also Connie Kowalski, being played by Colleen Camp. And we have Arthur Cobb, being played by Larry Bryman. Yeah, I think I said his name right. Ricky Walsh, being played by Anthony Peck, yeah. And also someone who's quite a technician at, because, being used to disable bombs or something like that. Charles Weiss. Yeah, I think I got his last name right. Being played by Kevin Chamberlain, whom I know most notably as Bertram in the Disney Channel show Jessie. And he's a great talented guy, an actor and such, so yeah. And, this is young Kevin Chamberlain, so yeah. Because when I watched this, I was like, wait, is that who I think it is? And then I realized, okay, yeah, it's Bertram. And we also have Officer Jane being played by Sharon Washington, and, Dr. Schuyler being played by Stephen Perlman. Okay, I'll mention some of the other characters a little later, but, yeah. So again, they place, John outside with the sign that says you-know-what, and there's a moment where, the electrician, Zeus, being played by Samuel L. Jackson, is visited by his 2 nephews, and, because we have Dexter, played by Michael Alexander Jackson, and Raymond, being played by Aldous Hodge. They come in because, they have a radio that was given to someone gave them to them, and Uncle Zeus setting his nephew straight about about bribing and all that, and they should be back in school and so on. That's a good uncle for them. So yeah, just setting them straight and don't mess with Zeus. And yeah, his nephews do discover and see McClane outside with the sign, and Zeus telling his nephews to call the police and he'll handle this, and yeah, he's gonna get McClane out of the situation, or else some black thugs are gonna spot McClane, and yeah, John's done for. And John, because this is not a good time, and Zeus, unbeknownst to him, he's getting himself involved with what's going on with McClane. And John is trying to get him out of the situation, and even Zeus, he's trying to get John out of the situation too before he's spotted. But unfortunately he is, and well, good for Zeus, he actually helps out McClane get out of the situation, even when McClane's gun accidentally slips out of his underpants, and takes the gun, telling the thugs to back off, and eventually they catch a taxi, and they make their way to the police station. And yeah, so now, Zeus brought this upon himself. He had no idea, but yep, now he is a part of this. He's now involved in the whole thing of Simon Says, and with what's going on with McClane. Now he's forced himself to join alongside with McClane. Poor Zeus. He's a harmless guy. He's a harmless man that just, for this to happen to him, but he would be very handy and helpful as the film proceeds, even though there are a few times he wants no part of this. But yeah, so with the police, they receive a phone call from Simon himself, and and wanting to speak to John, and with what Simon says to John, because again, the whole thing of playing his riddles and such, and the whole dangerous game of Simon Says, and, with further bomb threats in the city. And even Zeus, when Simon speaks to Zeus, it doesn't go well, and Zeus doesn't give a crap and just insults Simon. Simon hung up the phone, and this was the missed opportunity for the policeman to track down where the phone call's coming from Simon. But even when they do so, Simon did something to mess up the call, like it's coming from various places, so they have no idea where Simon is and where the call is coming from exactly. So, yeah. So what Simon tells both McClane and Zeus to do is to drive to a paid phone, and there, they'll be on the phone with Simon, and Simon will give them the next riddle, and so on. So thus, that's what they do. Making their way to a paved phone, I think I said the right, paved phone, and even having to scare off a lady who was using the phone. Because this is a dire situation, and thus, that's what they do. And, by answering the phone, a riddle that Simon gives, but McClane and Zeus, they're both having a hard time trying to figure out the riddle, not to mention the bomb is placed. One of the bombs is placed in a trash can right there in front of them, and where the paid phone is, And because they can't figure out the riddle, it seems like the bomb's about to go off, and shouting at everybody to clear the way, a bomb's gonna go off, but nothing happens. There was supposed to be an explosion, but Simon got them, and actually, where the phone is, where the bomb is, I should say, because, and to find and disarm the bomb is in the subway. That's what happens. That's what they've got to do. And thus, they have to take another taxi cab and such, and because McClane hijacking a taxi cab, even though because of course he has to show that police, this is a situation, like I need to commandeer your taxi cab and such. That's what he does, and man, because he really is driving fast to get there on time to disarm the bomb. And that sequence and going through that park in New York, and Zeus getting it's very intense for Zeus, and McClane is, he's a really great driver, and, good thing, because obviously not hitting anybody, and just even like Zeus asking McClane, are you aiming for these people? No, maybe that mime. And the police, they're having quite a difficult time trying to catch up to both McClane and Zeus. McClane's doing the driving, so because of his driving, it's impossible for them to catch up to him. But and to say more about the other characters besides McClane and Zeus and the villain, because again, they were all great characters with, what each of them, were like, and getting to know some of them, their personalities and such, members of the NYPD, which, being short for the New York, Police Department, so, and, okay, to go ahead and mention some of the bad guys, because... because we have, here he is. Inspector Walter Cobb. I said Ricky Walsh earlier. He is technically one of the good guys, but Ricky Walsh being played by Anthony Peck. Inspector Walter Cobb, that's right, because he's one of the big other main characters and of the police force. Wait, I already mentioned him, did I? Because, I hate getting sidetracked, just like, I just getting mixed up on... I did, because, Larry, Brigman, because he plays the main guy of the NYPD, Arthur Cobb, because, he was a pretty good character, and, it's nice to see that most of these characters, especially for Arthur, getting along with, with John McClane and such. By the way, because this was mentioned earlier, because the absence of McClane's wife... And, again, as I read in the description / the story, they're divorced. I don't know, because when watching the movie itself, now, I would have known, but I don't think so, and not really bringing up anything that they were divorced. The movie establishes that they've been separated and such, but I'm just saying, because, I don't recall, and I know I would have if I've heard the word divorce in the film, but, overall, because... Yeah, Holly being absent, and I think one of the reasons is, as I recall doing my research, because just they just couldn't find a way to stick Holly in there. And I mean, the final film itself, it works fine without having Holly in it. But it's still nice, of course, that they mention Holly, and because of what's happening in Die Hard with a Vengeance, the situation McClane has been in at the start of the film, but then when he would find himself back in action, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm sure we can presume that maybe after the events of this movie, they got back together or something, because at some point in the movie, he tries to make a phone call to Holly, but when he gets interrupted, but until I get there. Anyways, but yeah. So again, that sequence where McClane is driving through parts of New York in the taxi cab, close calls, not hitting people, and even when, just causing the taxi to kind of go over a curb and something, and just the look on Zeus's face, McClane! Oh, good old Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah. But, yeah, and to speed things up some, because they would eventually be getting there, close to getting to the subway. And from there on, McClane has to go by foot, making his way to the subway train, while Zeus is left to drive the cab and proceed down the subway station to answer the phone. Even there's a moment where someone took a taxi cab that Zeus was driving in, and, Zeus has no other choice but to help get that gentleman to where he's supposed to go, the 12th Street, yeah. So, yeah, and with McClane making his way to the subway train, holding on off to the side of the subway train, but he gets himself in there and trying to find the bomb, and eventually he would find it, and because with how much time it has left, and not to mention that Charles did bring this up because the certain types of the bombs that are in this, it has to do with liquid and such, and how the liquid is specifically done, and certain amounts of liquid, and just boom, a big explosion. I mean, even when Charles, he demonstrates how much liquid can cause an explosion, demonstrating it inside the NYPD, and causing a leg of a chair to be broken off. Just yeah, Charles getting them on their nerves or something, up off their seats with the intensity and such. Yeah. But, just overall, Charles, he was a good character. Again, Kevin Chamberlain, what he brought to Charles was pretty good. But yeah, so continuing on, because eventually, Zeus would make his way down to the subway station. And, because that's when, he passed by where he was supposed to pay to get his way into the station, and this got the attention of a policeman, and then telling one guy who's at one of the phone booths telling him that he's got to use that phone, but the other phone, it's been cut off, and just telling the guy to piss off, and one policeman pointing a gun at Zeus, and when the phone does ring, Zeus then saying, I've got to answer the phone. If you gotta shoot me, but I must answer the phone. Now, clearly, this being something that we would see in The Incredibles. Yeah, because the whole thing of Frozone saying, I'm just getting a drink, that being a clear nod to what's in Die Hard with a Vengeance, and because of Samuel L. Jackson, obviously. And I'm pretty sure for a lot of us who now have seen Die Hard with a Vengeance, now that we're older, because we get it. We get the reference, and because we had seen The Incredibles. You see what I mean? Makes sense. So, Zeus answering the phone, and, because, Simon not being impressed, because not both Zeus and McClane are there, but then, McClane, he does ultimately dispose the bomb, and in the end, he ultimately throws it out of the window of the subway train just before it hits the detonator, because, the detonator is on the subway train track, and right as the train hits that part of the track and where the detonator is, boom, just boom. I didn't clap that hard, but there we go, boom. then it goes off, and yeah, all hell breaking loose down in the subway station. Luckily, nobody got hurt. Yeah. As Thomas the Tank Engine would say, luckily, no one was hurt, but yeah. So, yeah, I mean, everybody managed to survive. Obviously, a bit wounded, but still. And even McClane, he survived that. You know, of course he does. Of course he survives anything like that, because he's John McClane. And, of course, so did Zeus. So that was taken care of. Yeah, that was done for now. The bomb that was somewhere in the subway station and in one of those subway trains. Yep, John and Zeus, they managed to take care of it. And after that, well, members of the NYPD, they show up and they have a conversation with both John and Zeus in regards to, you know, about Simon. And, well, because they have a few speculations on whom this Simon person is. You know, it could be 2 or 3 guys, you know, whoever they are. And, well, even when, like, say, one guy from the FBI? Yeah, I'm pretty sure FBI, because, yeah. You know, an FBI agent being played by Faisal Hassan, and FBI chief being played by Richard Russell Ramos? I think I said that right, yeah. Because they step in, and yeah, because they're talking about whom this Simon person can be, and that he speaks with a German accent. And the FBI members, they ask McClane if they are familiar with Hans Gruber. And yeah, this is where McClane gets a flashback, and we see archival footage of the first Die Hard film where the famous shot of Hans Gruber, you know, being let go by the watch, and, you know, the look on Alan Rickman's face as he falls to his death. That. Perfect. Just, yeah. So, yeah, of course, that does ring a bell to McClane. And it turns out that, yeah, they put it all together that Simon is, in fact, the brother of the late Hans Gruber. Yes, Simon Gruber. And to go ahead and mention, as I technically did, but I only said his last name, Simon Gruber being played by another great talent in this film, Jeremy Irons. Yes. And Jeremy Irons, what's there to say about Jeremy Irons? We all love Jeremy Irons. He's great in anything he does. Even if he's been in movies that were but he's still enjoyable. He's one of those actors that's always enjoyable to watch. So, and he's no stranger to playing evil. And what he brings to the performance of Simon Gruber in Die Hard with a Vengeance, just brilliant. Just brilliant, yeah. And it's very interesting that, who'd have thought that ever since the first Die Hard film came out, Hans Gruber had a relative, a brother, and, well, Hans' brother, being in the same territory as he was. However, again, as I said earlier, not being a monster, but a soldier, working for monsters, you know, villains and such. But yeah, because throughout most of the film, not really, but yeah, only up until, say, 47 to 50 minutes or something, yeah, we would eventually see Simon Gruber in the flesh, yeah, because we at one point do see him on top of a building because he was watching over what the policemen were doing and what the policemen have to do next, and because of what Simon mentioned to them and because of, you know, the dangerous game Simon says. Okay, and to mention some of the other villains, just to go ahead and mention the others because, yeah, we also have Targo, being played by Nick Wyman, and Kadia. Yeah, I think I said her name right. Yeah, being played by Sam Phillips. And, to go ahead and mention this, Targo and Kadia, they are in a relationship together, because I think, yeah, they are boyfriend and girlfriend in this, but, yeah. But it turns out, like, yeah, Simon and her, they would have a thing later on in the film, but just, yeah, even Targo got defeated, but, yeah. So, yeah. So, as I said, yeah, so it is ultimately revealed that this man by the name of Simon, who's been causing bombs to go off so far in New York, and been on the phone, yes, because it turns out that he would be the brother of the late Hans Gruber. You know, here's another thing to mention about Hans Gruber, because, you know, Alan Rickman, he still got credited being in this movie. even though, yeah, because it's only archival footage, well, it's just one of those things, and, no big deal, just, yeah. Anyways, so what happens next is, the next bomb that is placed somewhere New York, and that Simon brings up to McClane and the others, yep, well, there's a bomb in a school somewhere in New York. So the police, they become very busy trying to track down the bomb, and, well, Simon tells McClane and Zeus, another one of the riddles of Simon Says, yeah. Simon instructs, McClane and Zeus, leading them to a fountain where they must solve a riddle to get exactly 4 gallons of water using a 5-gallon and a 3-gallon jug. And so, yeah, and also there's a briefcase, which, yeah, because being there at the fountain with the 2 water jugs, and, well, when opening the briefcase, get another phone call from Simon, and, yeah, they have to figure out how many gallons of water they have to put in the 2 jugs and to disarm the bomb and such. And they do panic at first, but eventually, in the end, John manages to figure this out and manage to disarm the bomb. Yeah. And, well, the next thing that Simon tells them to do is go to the Yankee Stadium, which obviously they're going to find another bomb there, and if there will be one. However, John and Zeus, they come across and stumble upon, I should say, 2 rebel kids who just stole some stuff from a convenience store. Well, because, yeah, the police are not present, and the 2 rebel kids, they're brats. They mention that they can rob a bank if they want to, because, yeah, on account of the police being too busy because trying to locate the bomb. And it occurs to McClane that, well, Simon and the other terrorists, they've managed to lure and distract the police by not having them realize that they're going to break in a bank. So thus, yeah, John figuring that out, and John and Zeus, they, rightfully so, they deserved it. They take the 2 rebel kids' bikes, and they ride their way there, and they still have the bomb with them, and McClane tells Zeus to go to the police and, hand them over the bomb and such. But little does Zeus know that those policemen were actually the terrorists. They took down some of the policemen, and they're pretending to be some of the policemen. And with John going to the Federal Reserve Bank, because by this point, they've made their way to the Federal Reserve Bank, and they have dug underground the bank, and by collecting bars of gold and such, yeah. And one of the characters that I did mention that being a part of the bank is, yeah, Ricky Walsh, being played by Anthony Peck. And, and also to mention more of the other characters because, again, from some of the characters in the NYPD and Dr. Fred Schiller, yeah, because they were some great characters, and Graham Greene, fantastic as well. Just don't want to leave them out, of course. Anyways, so when McClane makes his way to the bank, and again, by this point, the bad guys have taken over and have overseen the bank, and McClane doesn't get any sense of knowledge that the policemen and security, they're actually the terrorists. And McClane showing his badge and insisting on going down in the bowels of the bank. Well, in the elevator, he recognizes one of their badges and realizes that, yeah, they're the bad guys in disguise. And, yeah, McClane managing to take them down in the elevator, shooting his gun and the bullets going around and, yeah, killing the bad guys in the elevator shaft. Then eventually, yeah, McClane, and to speed things up some still, he would make his way down below, and, yeah, by this point, it was too late because the bad guys have taken all of the gold, and they have placed the gold and such in dumpster trucks. Yeah, and even Zeus, he would also catch up to McClane, and yeah, so it's unfortunate that they managed to not stop them from stealing all of the gold that's in the bowels of the of the bank. So, yeah. In fact, McClane does inform the NYPD about this, but at one point, when Simon and Targo and Katia, they got in contact with those still in the bank, but yeah, Simon especially calling up his henchmen, but realizing that they're not responding because, yeah, McClane was present and shot them. And Targo, being very pissed off by this, and he calls up a news station and basically giving them details about the bomb and where it's located specifically, again, at a school, just, yeah. And, yeah, the public in New York hears about this, and several 911 calls come in, and oh yeah, because the parents that are out in New York, they're gonna be making their way to the school, yeah. And yeah, because the operator systems is busy and such, yeah, McClane is unable to call up NYPD, and with what's going on this time, yeah, bad timing, of course. Okay, and still to speed things up some, because, yeah, then, at one point, McClane and Zeus, they spot a dump truck, where, yeah, this guy by the name of Jerry Parks, being played by Joe Zaloom, well, they think that he's one of, the truck is one of Simon's trucks, yeah. But, yeah, when McClane has the truck driver to put his hands up in the air and such, well, yeah, Jerry, pleads for him not to be killed and such, and yeah, he's just a harmless, simple truck driver. And, well, because Jerry confirms that he is the truck driver working on the water tunnel site. When McClane asked where he was taking the truck, Jerry says he was taking the truck to the water aqueduct. I think, yeah, I said that right. And how it's specifically typed, yeah. So then McClane rides on Jerry's truck, and while Zeus follows them in the car, okay, I mean, that if McClane wanted to take a ride on the truck, that's his business, but yeah, so Jerry tells them that the pipeline in New York City Water Tunnel number 3, it runs from the Catskill Mountains to Manhattan Island, yeah. And Jerry pulls over as McClane and Zeus. So they went to a foreman of Tunnel 3 that some people tore out a part of a pipe, yeah. And who McClane realized that it was Simon's men. Obviously it would be. So, yeah. McClane went to Jerry's truck while instructing Zeus to go to the Yankee Stadium. Once again, Zeus has to go by himself, and this time at the Yankee Stadium, with whatever it is that's going to be at the Yankee Stadium. And Jerry gives McClane a tour of tunnel number 3, and while driving towards the end of the tunnel, then they see a dump truck. And yeah, obviously, the dump truck would have some of Simon Gruber's men. Also the foreman, the foreman being played by John Doman, if I even said the last name right. Again, me sometimes, so just wanted to mention him as he's credited, but yeah. And, so McClane handles, approaches and pretends to be a worker, approaching the dump truck, and, McClane borrows a hard hat and jacket of Jerry's, and, two of Gruber's men, Nils and Klaus. Yeah. Because they have their weapons armed and loaded, but McClane manages to kill them instantly. Yeah. So, yeah, and then Jerry, man, he's horrified by the sight of the dead bodies, and after McClane hands him back his hard hat and jacket, he tells Jerry specifically to get a hold of his boss, Walter, and to get him down to the aqueduct and find out who is the 21st president, because that was another riddle that, couldn't forget to mention this, that was another riddle that Simon gave to both McClane and Zeus, who the 21st president is. And, well, Jerry, he happens to know. So, yeah, didn't have to go to Walter to ask him. Jerry tells McClane that the 21st president is Chester A. Arthur, and I'm sure you would know this too. Yes, Chester A. Arthur being the 21st president of the United States of America. And yeah, and it gives him a brief biography of Arthur, yeah. And after McClane left to go after Simon and his men, well, then Jerry, of course, went and found Detective Connie, and yeah, he tells Walter on what McClane told him and his information that led the police to Chester A. Arthur Elementary School. That's where supposedly the bomb is. Yeah. At that school. And yeah, because the police, they would eventually make their way to the Chester A. Arthur Elementary School. And it just so happens that at that school, Zeus's nephews are there. Yep, they happen to be there. And, not to mention that we did see this a bit earlier, where the parents of those kids at that school, they're being held back by the police because, well, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, just, golly, leaving those parents just leaving them there not to save their own children. Good Lord. But, still, just one of those things. And because of this tight situation, this tight, complicated situation that's going on, that's being done in the hands of Simon Gruber. Also, yeah, because again, Zeus's nephew's being there, as well as one of his nephew's friends, being credited as Dexter's friend, being played by young Edwin Hodge. Well, Zeus's nephews, they believe that the police are here to arrest them because of the whole thing of the radio that they took to their uncle. Yeah, but that's not the case. And because they think of this, they actually go somewhere else in the school and hide, unbeknownst to them what's actually going on. And the police, they keep everything calm and such, and they just have the kids, do something like if any evacuation, fire drill, all that stuff, just, yeah. And, yeah, especially Joe Lambert, Graham Greene's character, being involved in this heavily. But, yeah, so, coming back to McClane, because he continues on in the water tunnel number 3. And, yeah, because at one point, Simon calls up his 2 guys that were in that dumpster truck, Nils and Klaus. And, well, yeah, of course, McClane answers the radio, teasing Simon and just, Nils is dead and so on. And, yeah, this, of course, upsets Simon. And what happens next is Simon sets off one of the bombs that happens to be in those tunnels. Yeah, tunnel number 3. And because of this, well, this would cause a humongous flood. And McClane, still being in there, would see the water come in. That sequence, that was another great sequence, And I think that, yeah, because the sequence where, yeah, the water's coming in and McClane has to get out of there, and by using a truck, but with how close the water's coming, just, yeah. Yeah, because with McClane escaping a flooded tunnel, and yeah, well, because he manages to grab a rail, well, on top of, civilization, what I'm saying, just, yeah, and the grates, yeah, grabbing a grate and holding on as best he can as the water comes in, but a geyser strikes up in the sky, and yeah, McClane goes flying. Also, not to mention that when he went flying, just so happens that in the nick of time, perfect timing I should say, Zeus and another hijacked car spotted McClane being shot out of the water geysers from that tunnel. And by the way, because we do see a little earlier that Zeus, he did make his way to the Yankee Stadium, and a couple of other men of Gruber's were there, and, well, with what Zeus found, it was like a tiny model and such, and it was like a tiny model of the Yankee Stadium. And, well, because, yeah, when Zeus, he arrives, and the sniper, one of Gruber's men, a sniper named Eric, yeah, he asked his comrade if they can take him out. And the spotter, which being Misha, tells him not to shoot since Zeus arrived, yeah. And again, yeah, Zeus, sees a portable handheld baseball game and looks underneath it. And there's a note / a message written by a typewriter and taped that says, "Game over." And as the message spooked Zeus, he left the stadium, and yeah, the sniper asked if he can take out Zeus still, but no, because Miss Shaw told him not to, because, yeah. And saying they'll follow him and we'll get both Zeus and McClane, which that's what just so happens. They catch up to Zeus and McClane, and again, Zeus, in perfect timing, spotted McClane after being shot from one of those tunnel, from one of those drains, the tunnel and such, you get what I'm saying? And yeah, a car chase, I should say, in pursuit. Gotta slow down talking. And yeah, because they're trying to kill off McClane and Zeus, but in the end, of course, McClane and Zeus, especially McClane, he manages to take down the other, members of Gruber's gang. So yeah, the Mishaw and Eric. So yeah, they're done for. Meanwhile, back at the school, because yeah, with having the kids play along, just having them play along with fire drill stuff and stuff like that, while yeah, Zeus's nephews, again, they're hiding because yeah, they're thinking of the total opposite. If they had known, then yeah, then they would have fallen along and such. Also, can't forget to mention Charles, because Charles, at the school, in the middle of trying to disarm the bomb, because, yeah, if I did mention this earlier, he's quite the expert on, disarming bombs and such, yeah. And coming back to McClane and Zeus, because, well, now they need to go after the stolen gold bars from that bank, and they discover it's on a marine ship, and they use a wedge from the car, and yeah, by throwing it to the ship, and thus, yeah, they can, climb on the rope, the wire, and thus make their way. However, one of Simon's henchmen notices them and tries to shoot them down, but the winch, it's the last of it's been used, and yeah, causing the vehicle to fall off the bridge, and yeah, luckily for McClane and Zeus, they managed to, land their way on the ship, but the winch, it sliced that henchman in half from his torso. Jeez Louise. You blink for a second, you'll miss that, because we technically do see it, but it's very quick. And McClane and Zeus, horrified by the gruesome sight of the sliced half henchman of Simon's. But yeah, they take care of, part of his body, his legs and his body, and McClane hands the henchman's gun to Zeus to use it and to locate Simon, while McClane is busy trying to, locate the golden bars and so on. So yeah, they once again split up, and this time on the marine ship. And to still speed things up some, because yeah, Zeus, he would eventually find Simon and have him at gunpoint, but he's not able to shoot the gun. It's the trigger not working and such, and yeah, Simon taking the gun from him, and yeah, he knows how to work a gun, and he shoots Zeus's foot. Jeez. Meanwhile, down below in the marine ship where the cargo's being held, well, McClane, he would come face to face with, well, who else but one of the big higher-up henchmen of Simon's, Targo. Yeah. Targo, he steps in, and a fight between Targo and McClane. But yeah, in the end, McClane manages to defeat Targo. And also because there's a Addams Family reference, and with account of Lurch and so on, but it was pretty funny. But in the end, yeah, McClane manages to take down Simon. Meanwhile, back at the school, because with all the kids having been evacuated, they do discover that Zeus's nephews, along with their nephew's friend, is still in the school, and they have to rush back in to save them, while Charles, still trying to disarm the bomb, and it just gets really intense. And when McClane goes up to the main bridge of the marine ship, nobody's there. No Simon, no Zeus, nobody. And, well, by this point, time is running out. The bomb is soon to go off at the school. And a reprise of the music and score from the first Die Hard film. The music that plays when Hans Gruber falls to his death, da, da. Oh, that was great to hear that. Love that piece of music. We all do. Yeah. So it was perfect, and because of that moment right there. And, well, yeah, because the bomb's gonna go off. But Well, luckily for Charles, I mean, he's refusing. He makes it clear to the NYPD that he's refusing to leave the school, and on account that, Zeus's nephews are still in there, and he's still gonna stay there and try to disarm the bomb, and he does so. However, turns out, no bomb in the school. What? Well, yeah. It turns out that there was no bomb in the school. The bomb is in the Marine ship. And eventually, McClane, he would come face to face with Simon. Yes, this is the first time, finally, that Simon and McClane meet face to face. And with the mentionings of Simon's brother, Hans. Also, I almost forgot to mention this. Good thing I remember now, because, it is believed throughout most of the film that with Simon's present in New York, and he is heavily wanting to, get in touch with McClane and wanting to speak with McClane, and McClane getting involved with what he's going to do in New York, it's believed, especially by McClane, that this is because of vengeance. Hence the title of the film, because, yeah, Simon's seeking revenge on the death of his brother Hans because of McClane's doing, but no, that wasn't the case. McClane would eventually discover that with what Simon was doing was not because of revenge, it was a heist. Yeah, and hence when, they would steal the gold from the bank and from there on, so yeah. So yeah, and the interactions between Simon and McClane, they're pretty good, and they seem to technically get along. In fact, Simon insulting, McClane insulting Simon's brother, calling him an asshole, even Simon technically feels the same way too, because his relationship with his brother, I guess, is mutual, and how, each of the characters say, especially Simon, But ultimately what happens is, both McClane and Zeus, they get tied up and placed down in the cargo hold of the Marine ship, and yeah, very soon, the bomb is going to go off. Because basically, Simon, he's going to blow up the Marine ship along with the golden leaves, the golden bars and such, and yeah, through some conversations between McClane and Zeus. In fact, there's a moment where McClane reveals to Zeus that he lied to Zeus about something. Again, the chemistry between both McClane and Zeus throughout the film is great, and where they're not really friends, and they just go on and off that they hate one another, and with racist being mentioned and so on, but of course McClane's not racist or anything, a very mutual friendship, I guess you could say, between Zeus and McClane. But in the end of the movie, I think, it's clear that they would become good friends, after all that happened. Yeah, but overall, and still to speed things up some, they managed to, uncuff themselves, and, well, this would lead to where, they evacuate the Marine ship, and this would lead to where, they jump out of the Marine ship, and boom! The Marine ship explodes. But luckily, of course, paramedics and the NYPD, they locate both McClane and Zeus, and, they're both rescued. In fact, at one point, McClane was going to make a phone call to Holly, but that did not happen because then McClane discovered something, especially, can't forget to mention this too, where sometimes throughout the film, McClane complaining about a headache he's had, and even before Simon left the Marine ship, McClane asked Simon if, he can be lended some aspirin, and because Simon was more than kind to hand him some aspirin and told him to keep the bottle, and, well, McClane noticed on the lid of the bottle of aspirin that this location where, more likely, Simon's at, and thus, the ending / the climax to the ending of the movie, this is where, Simon and his men, they would be discovered. And this is where Simon would be done for, where the police force come in, and of course Zeus and McClane coming in as well. And by the way, because Holly was on the phone, and because McClane was waiting for her to be on the phone, but yeah, because when he realized and had to run because of, yeah, to take down Simon once and for all, Holly on the phone, and like last time, and McClane did say this did mention this to Zeus where, yeah, because didn't respond back to her or anything like that for over a year, and just, yeah, so when hearing Holly's voice, like, McClane, oh, you son of a, and it cuts right as she says bitch, just, and, yeah, because we hear Holly's voice, I presume it was, Bonnie Bedelia, just doing the voice of Holly. I mean, she's not credited, but I'm just saying, because I presume that could be her, but, yeah, maybe you guys can help me out on that, let me know in the comments section, but anyways, so, the climax, the ending to the film, because, yeah, Simon and his men are celebrating, and there is a moment where, yeah, and this, fun fact, this was a last-minute thing, where, Simon and, Targo's girl, who now technically is now Simon's girl, Kadia, they were about to have sex. Apparently, director John McTiernan, I think I'm mispronouncing his last name, but you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, he felt as though just to add that sex scene in because, well, knowing that this movie was getting an R rating, might as well throw in a sex scene. Well, yeah, even though it's very short and it's interrupted when, yeah, McClane, Zeus, and the others, they come in to, take down Simon and the others. And by the way, because Die Hard with a Vengeance being directed by the same guy, John McTiernan, who directed the first Die Hard film. Yeah. And also, he had directed Predator and Last Action Hero, as well as, if anybody has heard of this one film, Rollerball. Yeah, it's just right there for his known for on IMDb, but anyways. So, and he also directed Hunt for Red October. That's interesting, because he didn't come back to direct the second Die Hard film, but, yeah, I mean, it was nice that he came back for Die Hard with a Vengeance, and that was it, but, oh well. Anyways, so, with the climax and where, yeah, the police force, McClane and Zeus, they come in to take down Simon and the others. Simon and Kadia, they're evacuating and get on a helicopter, and McClane in pursue, trying to take down Simon, and just, yeah, in the end, McClane manages to take down Simon once and for all, because noticing some wires and lighting and just, yeah, targeting at a certain position, and where, yeah, it'll take down the helicopter/chopper that Simon and Kadia are in, and the last words that McClane gives to Simon, say hello to your brother for me, and boom, just shooting his gun, and boom, the helicopter is destroyed, and McClane delivering an iconic line from the Die Hard franchise, yippee-ki-yay, mother effer. Yeah, so. And after that, well, it ends off where, yeah, McClane once again is going to call up Holly, but yeah, McClane telling Zeus that Holly's going to be pissed, and, well, Zeus clarifying to McClane that she'll get over it, but yeah, Holly being a very intense woman, you know what I'm saying, being very tough and such, but yeah, but he still proceeds on calling up Holly, and yeah, that's how the movie ends, and Zeus laughing, and like I said, all throughout the film and up towards the end of the film, yeah, eventually, it seems that, yeah, a proper true friendship would begin for both Zeus and McClane. Yeah. So, it's great to see that all ended well. And, yeah, a happy ending for McClane, I presume. And, by the way, why not? Just to go ahead and mention this. The alternate ending to Die Hard with a Vengeance, if you are aware and know the alternate ending to Die Hard with a Vengeance, because, yeah, well, the alternate ending had none of what's in the final film. The climax with explosions, the helicopter chase, all that, Simon and his men being taken in by the NYPD. Well, because in the alternate ending, and according to Doug Walker especially, it was bizarrely quiet and, yeah, and just had nothing that we see in the final film. No action, no explosions, nothing. Because, yeah, in the alternate ending, McClane tracks Simon to Hungary, and where he forces Simon to play a deadly game of McClane says. Interesting. Yeah, turning the wheels turning and such. You know what I'm saying? Just now, Simon is in a dangerous situation that's under control by McClane. Yeah. And basically, the whole thing of McClane says is with a Chinese rocket launcher and Simon, he accidentally kills himself because, yeah, by flipping the Chinese rocket launcher and wherever it's positioned at, either at McClane or Simon, one of them is going to get killed by it. And yeah, in the end, Simon, he kills himself. Yeah. However, that version of the ending to Die Hard with a Vengeance, yeah, the producers, as well as Bruce Willis, they felt this version made McClane seem more vengeful and less heroic. And just making it, and even, yeah, for Bruce Willis, feeling like that it made McClane feel too cruel and such. And, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, besides, like, would we really picture McClane doing something like that? I don't think so. Just, yeah. What we got in the final version of the movie, yeah, much better. Because, it's Die Hard. And as Doug Walker also said, it's Die Hard. Give us an explosion. And yeah, because that being a big thing. And for the ending to the movie, the climax and how the villain's defeated, something that explodes. So yeah, that's what we got. And not to mention that the whole thing of the Chinese rocket launcher, that was a Christmas present. And had that version of the ending of the movie had been kept, then it would have made Die Hard with a Vengeance a Christmassy movie like the last two. But yeah, in the end, it all turned out great with how it ended. And, this being not something Christmassy, besides with the mentionings of Santa Claus, all that, it didn't make Die Hard with a Vengeance like the first two a Christmassy action-packed film, okay? So, yeah. Yeah, just, how the movie ends is pretty good. And the alternate ending, it's pretty interesting when you watch it and check it out, and man, something completely different from what we would see and expect from the Die Hard films, and yeah. But yeah, I just felt like mentioning that, because, why not? Anyways, so yeah, again, just how the movie ends, it ends off perfectly well. A happy ending for McClane and all the other characters. Both McClane and Zeus, I should say. They're the two main characters. But yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I quite enjoyed it. And, again, like what I said earlier, I feel as though that people cite this Die Hard film as one of the few pretty good sequels of the Die Hard franchise, the next one after this would be another pretty good Die Hard sequel, yeah. But yeah, just overall, everything that Die Hard with a Vengeance had to offer, with its storyline, its cast of characters, great talents that were in this movie. Bruce Willis once again, Samuel L. Jackson, of course, Jeremy Irons, the members of the NYPD, the other terrorists, they were fantastic as well. Because to name some of the other cast members from, the late Graham Greene, Colleen Camp, Larry Brigman, Anthony Peck, Nikki Weinman, Sam Phillips, Kevin Chamberlain, Sharon Washington, Stephen Perlman, everybody else. They were all fantastic. The action, the suspense. This Die Hard film taking place heavily in New York, the various locations they go to, Simon Says, and with the bombs he's placed, and with what's going on with both McClane and Zeus, and just, yeah. And again, the movie not wasting any time to open with what is going to be going on in this Die Hard film. That's really cool. The music and score, fantastic. And with John McTiernan returning to direct this Die Hard film, and with his direction, pretty good, and references to the first two Die Hard films, and seeing Hans Gruber's brother, Simon Gruber, the main antagonist, Jeremy Irons, fantastic, with the various riddles from Simon, Simon Says, the suspension, the intensefulness, the ending to the film, everything that Die Hard with a Vengeance had to offer was pretty cool. I enjoyed it, yeah. And I'm giving Die Hard with a Vengeance, yeah, why not? 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for Die Hard with a Vengeance. And what about you guys? What did you think of Die Hard with a Vengeance itself? Is it one of your favorite Die Hard sequels? Did you enjoy this? I presume that you started with the first, then the first sequel, and then this. And some of your favorite characters, like most prominently Samuel L. Jackson, Jeremy Irons, with everything that goes on in Die Hard with a Vengeance right at the start, as I said. And favorite moments, favorite lines, and get some good laughs and chuckles. Moments where we're just like, oh my gosh, yeah. The suspense, the intensefulness, the climax, and with the whole thing of Simon Says, his various riddles, the suspension with all that, everything that goes on in New York, and if you had seen the alternate ending, and probably a lot of you would probably say that, yeah, the ending that's in the final film is a much better ending, yeah. And just overall, what did you think of Die Hard with a Vengeance itself, with what I've had to say, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, guys, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Die Hard with a Vengeance, the second sequel / third installment of the Die Hard franchise. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video / review. And stay tuned later tonight, because what I will be reviewing next, alongside with my dad, well, as I did mention earlier, 1995 being, a big year for movies, and there were some pretty good action-packed films. Another one that would be released later that year, well, this shirt I've been wearing, is it obvious? Yeah, and Pierce Brosnan's debut as this agent, yeah, Yeah, just, again, stay tuned for that. Take care, and until I review the next installment of the Die Hard franchise, Live Free or Die Hard, and as I said earlier, that would be another one after Die Hard with a Vengeance, that would be another pretty good sequel to the Die Hard franchise, Yeah, happy anniversary to Die Hard with a Vengeance, and peace out. Yippee-ki-yay!